Well, welcome to Renton Airport, and this video focused on steep turns in a DA42. I really enjoy doing steep turns. They really combine a lot of great stick and rudder skills and understanding of the aerodynamics of your airplane. But once you've learnt the basics, they're really just a fun maneuver to fly. And it's probably worth pointing out that just about every check ride I've ever taken, except maybe for the instrument check ride, has involved steep turns. So some key things to keep in mind for completion standards for the maneuver. If you're doing it at the private pilot level, that's a 45-degree bank. At the commercial level and beyond, it's a 50-degree bank. That's both plus or minus 5 degrees. And then other parameters are the altitude needs to stay plus or minus 100 feet. The airspeed needs to stay plus or minus 10 knots from where you started, and you need to roll out plus or minus 10 degrees. I find that the parameter that people get most hung up on is the altitude, and find themselves having difficulty keeping it within that plus or minus 100-foot level. So we'll talk through some tricks I use in the DA42 to manage that. So I look forward to having you along today, and we'll get going here in a minute.
So we're going to start off today with some steep turns, and steep turns crop up on just about every check ride. There's some slight differences between private pilot and commercial. The main one being at commercial, you need to do it at a bank angle of 50 degrees, plus or minus 5 degrees. At the private pilot level, it's 45 degrees, plus or minus 5 degrees. Some recommendations on what I like to do on the steep turn is set up both the heading bug, but also a nice outside visual reference. Here in the Pacific Northwest, it doesn't get any better than Mount Rainier, so we'll be using that. And set up there, then roll either left or right. I'll start to the left into 50 degrees. I'll do it to commercial standards. And you've got a few tools at your disposal as you want to maintain altitude, because you have to maintain altitude plus or minus 100 feet. Normally, people struggle most with the altitude, and you've got a few tools available to maintain altitude. One is just power. When you pull in, you want to put a little bit of extra power in, but you may adjust that just a little bit. You've got trim that you want to set that, some pitch up trim when you first get into it. You may adjust that if you're losing or gaining altitude. You can also tweak the bank just a little bit. Remember, as you're going into this, you're losing a big vertical component of lift. So by increasing the bank just slightly, that reduces it further. So if you're climbing a bit, you can bank just a few degrees more. That'll take out some of the vertical component of lift. If you're sinking a bit, you can just shallow it out just a little bit. You need to stay within standards, but just a little bit shallow will give you a bit more vertical component of lift. So those are a couple of things. We'll see what else we can do when we're in the maneuver. Someone is below us right there. We'll just keep an eye on them. There they go, they're going past us now. So before we do the maneuver, we'll do some clearing turns, make radio call, and then we'll get started. So we'll start, since they're going past us on the left-hand side, we'll do a clearing turn to the right. We'll just do a couple of 90-degree turns. Just what a beautiful day it is here over Enumclaw. Looks good, and then back around, line up again with Mount Rainier. Okay, that's a great reference there, Mount Rainier. We'll make a radio call. We're on air-to-air, the southeast practice area. Southeast practice area, Twin Diamond 62 Delta Lima, is 4,000 feet over Enumclaw, southeastbound, doing maneuvers between 3,500 and 4,500, southeast practice area. We've got that traffic out there, they're 1,500 feet below us. That's good, okay. The other thing we need to do is make sure we're below VA, and we are. VA is 122, so we're 112, so that's just fine. Normally I find 40 degrees is good starting, and then move up to about 50 for the maneuver. So, one more thing we haven't done is turn off the envelope protection. So we'll do that in aux. Let's see, system setup, page 2, and turn that off. Yeah. Then back to flight plan. Okay, we're still below VA. Made a radio call, we made our clearing turns. Here we go, so full power, a little bit of trim, well not full power, but, and make sure we stay coordinated. And over to about 50 degrees. Looks good, gaining a little bit of altitude. Let that bleed off. Okay, come back down to 4,000. And we're about halfway around. And I find the visual, go back over at 50, the visual reference is the best for rolling out, but we're close to coming around, and there's Mount Rainier, and rolling out. And now over to 50 degrees on the other side. There we go. The other thing that's very helpful with the G1000 is about 2.5 degrees on there is about what usually works out. If you maintain it at that, you're going to be pretty much right on. So keep it coming around. A bit more trim in, I think. There, we're about halfway around. That's pretty good. Steepen the bank a bit. There's Mount Rainier.
Traffic, 5 o'clock.
I think that's me.
Traffic,
Okay.
7 o'clock.
Yeah, that looked like a shadow. Gets your attention when that happens, but anyway, there we go. There is steep turn. We may do one more of those. Southeast practice area, Twin Diamond 62 Delta Lima, just north of Eamon southbound at 4,000, doing maneuvers between 3.5 and 4.5, southeast practice. Roller protections off, clearing turns, radio
Practice area 121 with you is 3,800, descending down to 3,500 over Kingston, headed eastbound, northwest.
Getting bug. So let's roll in to the left.
Southeast practice area, Skyhawk 9283 Alpha is at 2,500, 2 miles to the south of Lake Young, transitioning west to east.
We're looking for 50 degrees, which is commercial standards.
Southeast practice area.
That's good.
18015, just took off the Enum, going to transition at
We're about halfway around.
800 to...
Staying at 50 degrees, that's 2.5. Altitude looks good. Bank looks good. 90 degrees to go. There's Mount Rainier. We'll roll out there. Make sure we don't gain any altitude there. Stay coordinated. And look for 2.5. 2.5 degrees, that looks good. Altitude looks good. Stay on pitch, stay on bank. And yeah, we're fighting overbanking tendency for sure as we come around. Here we are, we've got about 90 degrees to go, losing a little bit of altitude. Let's pitch up a bit, there's Mount Rainier coming in. And there we go. Looks good. And gain that altitude back. There we go. Okay, 4,000.